Today I'm going to be talking about the newest film in the Cloverfield franchise, the Cloverfield Paradox, or formerly known as God Particle. So basically, Paradox is the third film in the Cloverfield franchise. There was Cloverfield, and then there was 10 Cloverfield Lane, and this one is about a group of astronauts on a space station, and there's basically been a crisis on Earth where they're running out of energy, so they send this astronaut group up there to try and find a way to get energy to come down to Earth, and they try to, and I'm not going to spoil it, but something very disastrous happens, and they have to figure out how to get back to Earth. Now I'm just going to start by saying I love the other Cloverfield movies. They're some of my favorite movies of all time. I literally just watched the second one less than a week ago, and I own the first one on Blu-ray. I think they're both great films that aren't really looked at as, classic horror films when I guess they could be. At least the first one I think is kind of a horror film. Second one's more of like a thriller, but still they're really good films that I don't feel like get enough praise when they should. And so when they decide they're going to make a new movie in this universe, they should really take it seriously because people love the other two. But then if they're going to make more, use the same tactics they used from the first two and apply it to this new one. And sadly, they didn't do that for this one called Paradox. It wasn't as good as the first two. And it's really sad. And I think the biggest thing that stands out to me that should have been, a red light of why this one wasn't going to be good was because it was released on the Netflix. And this isn't a slam against Netflix. It's just this third one was supposed to get a theatrical release back in October, but then it got pushed back to February, and then it got pushed back again to April, and then a couple weeks ago it was released that Netflix was in talks to buy this, and they were going to release it in April on their streaming service, and that there was going to be a trailer for it during the Super Bowl. And then yesterday they did a trailer, and it was announced that literally right after the game, the movie was going to become available. And so, like I said, this isn't a slam against Netflix, but why is a movie like Cloverfield, which the first two got theatrical releases, why is this third one going on to Netflix? And so in my mind, that makes me think that someone knew this one wasn't going to sell. It wasn't going to do well, and so they said, well, where can people watch it? Where they can get a giant group of people together for like the price of one ticket, which is like, I don't know how much Netflix is, maybe $10.99 a month, and they can get a giant group of people together and watch this movie instead of, have that giant group of people go out and spend a bunch of more money to see it. They knew that this movie wasn't going to sell. I think one of the things that really bothered me so much about this movie was that it really needed to act like it was connected to the Cloverfield universe. The first one, obviously, that can act as much as it wants to, start its own universe. The second one didn't need to rely on that. Yes, they had some connections to the first one, but they were very subtle and very little amount of them. They didn't need to rely on saying, oh yeah, we're part of the Cloverfield universe, go see our movie because we're a sequel to this. No, it's basically its own movie. It just happens to have the name Cloverfield in it. This third one, it really feels like it needs to rely on that with so many things. And it's the space station they're literally on is called the Cloverfield Station. They make so many references to, trying to point out the name Cloverfield, and it's just like, okay, we get it. It's in the Cloverfield universe. You don't need to keep pointing it out. The thing that Cloverfield Lane did was that they didn't literally say the word Cloverfield. In fact, they didn't say it at all. They showed it on a mailbox. Other than that, we barely even saw the word Cloverfield besides the opening credits at all in the movie. And it's sad that this one feels like it needs to rely on it because this goes back to saying they feel like they need to sell this movie because if it didn't have the name Cloverfield in it, it wasn't going to sell. Another thing that really bothered me about this movie was they throw so many things in our faces. The Cloverfield franchise has been known to be surrounded by mystery and not really explain itself, and that's what made the first two so good. But this one, it just throws so many things at our faces who's this? Where did this person go? Why does this happen? What does this mean? And it takes so long to explain some things. And some of the things I felt like didn't even get explained to their potential. Some things could have been, expanded, and some things shouldn't have just happened at all. And that really sucks because, we've been waiting 10 years since the first Cloverfield to figure out what something means, and yet when we finally, in a way, do, it doesn't really make any sense, and it kind of feels like a giant FU to the audience. Now, that's not to say there weren't good things about this movie. I think the thing I really liked the most about this movie was the cinematography. It was a really beautifully shot movie. I can give it that. I think out of all the three Cloverfields, this one probably is the best looking because it's in space. It's really hard to make, in a space station, a space shuttle. The first two were in a city. I mean, the first one probably must have been really hard to shoot since it looked like it was filmed on an iPhone, but the second one was like in a bunker, so that was probably really easy to film those scenes. But this one's in space, and it was made for like a $25 million budget, so it was really impressive, I thought, and that was one of the things I can give it that I liked. I think at the end of the day, if you're a big Cloverfield fan like me, you're going to be let down by this movie. If you've never seen any of the Cloverfield movies, don't waste your time with it because you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to get it. But it's disappointing to see that Cloverfield movie wasn't as good because we rarely get them. I mean, we're getting one hopefully in October because apparently it's done filming, but we'll see. So hopefully that won't be a straight to Netflix release. My guess is it will be. But yeah, it sucks that we have a Cloverfield movie that isn't good. I'm going to give the Cloverfield Paradox a 4 out of 10. It's sad, it's disappointing, but there were some cool things about it. I know I didn't touch upon all of them in this video, but that's because most of the things about the movie bothered me. Thank you all so much for listening. If you've liked what you listened to on here and you want to listen to more, go like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be really helpful and I would really appreciate it. The links to all of my social medias are listed down below in the description. Other than that, this has been A Talk in Depth.